All right. We got to get these crazy kids together. Benny and Billy, they just keep fighting. They just keep going at it. So this is how it started. You might remember this banger from Burr on his morning podcast a few months ago.
Me about this kid who killed this CEO is none of these news programs are talking about the incredible lack of empathy from the general public about this because of how these insurance companies treat people when they are at their most vulnerable, after we've all given them our money every fucking month, and now we finally need you, and all you do is deny us. And then these pussies and all of these things are taking the pictures of their CEOs off their websites. You know, I got to be honest with you, okay? I love that fucking CEOs are fucking afraid right now. You should be. By and large, you're all a bunch of selfish, greedy fucking pieces of shit, and a lot of you are mass murderers. You just don't pull the trigger. That's why it looks clean. That's why these people look, oh my God, oh, he was just, you know, walking into a hotel. It's like, okay, but what was his job? What did he do? What was the results of it?
Well, Ben Shapiro didn't like the sound of that, along with almost the entire corporate media. So let's see what he had to say. This was back in December.
Yeah, I'm such a Bill Burr fan that I actually bought a ticket for me and my wife and two of our friends to go see Bill Burr at the Hard Rock Casino down here in Hollywood, Florida. And I have to say, it was one of the worst shows I ever saw in my life. And the reason was he was totally disconnected from the audience. Well, that disconnect has continued. You'll remember that he appeared on Bill Maher's show where he declared solidarity with the pro-Hamas students on campus. And now he is proclaiming that he is very happy that CEOs are walking around in fear for their lives. Okay, now, you do get some extra points for being a comedian in today's day and age, meaning that we'll tend to give you some more leeway to say edgy things, because you're trying to be funny. And it's not clear to me here that Bill Burr is attempting to be funny. This is just his actual political opinion. He's not saying anything funny or insightful here. Here is Bill Burr yesterday explaining that he is perfectly fine with CEOs having to live with full-time security because they fear they might be shot, because after all, they're murderers too. I don't believe that Bill Burr holds the same standard for comedians.
Okay. So he kept going on and on about Bill Burr because Bill Burr kept coming out yelling "Free Luigi," making a lot of the corporate media very uncomfortable. So apparently he didn't even know who he was at the time. This is from Variety in February. Ben Shapiro said Bill Burr is going woke, but Burr responds, all he knew was if he put woke on what he said, he would make more money. I don't know who he is, but that guy is a jerk off. No lies detected. Katie Halper had a great response, actually, to this article. It's helpful that Ben Shapiro described Bill Burr's criticism of CEOs as woke because it reveals how anti-wokeness is weaponized to protect economic inequality. That's why free market fundamentalist think tanks fund people like Chris Rufo. It's class war dressed up as culture war. Thank you, Ben. Exactly. And this is the real problem that they have with Bill Burr, because as we will see, Bill Burr didn't go woke. Bill Burr is still very hated for a lot of his material by the people they would define as woke. What you see with these douchebag dialogues, kind of trigonometry, Douglas Murray people, is they expand the definition of woke out to economic demands. People who are making economic demands, who are criticizing the rapacious looting of the society by CEOs, that's woke. Their job is to get you distracted with culture wars so that you don't fight a class war. So Bill Burr sat down this week for a really interesting interview with Vulture. We're gonna look at a few sections of it, but the Shapiro thing came up pretty early on.
Shapiro talked about going to one of your shows and complaining about you becoming woke, which sort of then created this.
He doesn't even know what that word means.
Let me
his definition of woke is white liberals' definition of woke, and they didn't even know what it was. Yeah. They just took the word from black people. That's the worst thing about our people, is not only do we take from other cultures, we don't even take the time to understand the definition.
Yeah.
He went there to be annoyed so he can then have something to talk about, and then he can make money off of dividing his own country.
Yeah.
Those people, it's treasonous what they do.
Yes, but
What I'm finding is that people keep trying to categorize what it is that you're doing. Like that idiot Ben Shapiro. No, he's woke now. He's like, I don't. That fucking guy. Someone came to me and goes, "Hey man, you should." He was trying to bring me into his fold. At one point, the guy liked me.
yeah.
You know, and then when I didn't, then all of a sudden I'm a fucking asshole. I mean, I'm supposed to look at that guy like he's an adult.
Yeah, so that's really the issue. What they wanted from Bill Burr was for him to be their MAGA puppet, right? He's going to be their angry MAGA comedian who just forever is screaming about who's using what bathroom and screaming about Me Too. That's what they wanted him to be. And when he revealed himself not to be their puppet, all of a sudden he's woke. So Ben Shapiro, of course, he did a response to Burr's Vulture interview. All right, so first, we're not going to play his definition of woke. He does not define woke. What he does, he said, I know what woke is, and he goes on for about 2 minutes misdefining woke. He defines it based on what proponents of critical race theory define as their theory of society. That's not a definition of woke. That's a definition of critical theory or a certain perspective of critical theory. Woke, as I understand it, the way that it started and the way that Bill Burr is describing it, it was just being awake to the iniquities in society, being awake to systemic oppression, being awake to the way, basically having been red-pilled. It's the original way of saying red-pilled. You're woke.
Right.
So
to notice injustice in the world.
Exactly. He goes on with academics and theories and books he doesn't like as a definition of woke, which is really not any definition at all. He plays a clip of Bill Burr doing a bit about people claiming Elvis stole his leg shake from black people and saying, what, nobody shook his leg before, to show that Bill Burr has gone woke. All right, so that's where we're picking it up.
Okay, so now Bill Burr would presumably call that Bill Burr insensitive and unresponsive to the needs and definitions of black people. Which, all this is amazing, guys, because Bill Burr is whiter than a painting of a polar bear in snow on a white canvas. So he's actually the most annoying form of a woke person. A white lib, the kind he likes to criticize. The white person who apologizes for being white by pretending that he can speak on behalf of black people about the systemic privileges of being white. Oh, yeah, while pulling down millions of dollars to be an angry thumb of a human. So bald Rumpelstiltskin over here, who gets mad when you call him by his real name, is still pissed off. I didn't enjoy his comedy show last year, and he thinks that I and my friends and my wife, we all paid to attend his show just so that I could criticize him. No, here's the thing. On a random weekday night, if I'm going to a comedy show, I'm going because I want to laugh. We paid to attend your show because you used to be funny. And then you transed yourself and turned into a white, bald, allegedly male version of Sonny Hassan on The View, screeching at me about income inequality and racism. There is some irony to the fact that as you lost your nuts, you morphed into a shriveled nutsack of a human. And now you've decided that you're a victim, and that everyone you know is a victim, and that America is cruel and nasty and such, and you're deliberately misunderstood just because you won't put on a great show anymore, which makes me sad, because I enjoyed watching Bill Burr. But now watching you is like watching Robin DiAngelo, but even whiter and even faker and less funny, and with a screechy Boston accent to boot.
Wow, it's amazing this guy didn't make it in Hollywood. He tried making it as a screenwriter.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Yeah,
It's so hilarious, this guy.
It's funny that all these failed entertainment guys, Boring, Shapiro, they all have such vitriol for entertainers, almost like they're jealous.
Yes.
So a couple of responses here. Hilarious that Bill Burr said Shapiro is going to use his comedy and whatever he says to be annoyed so he has something to talk about on his show to make money off of dividing Americans, which is treasonous. And Benny Boy didn't include that part and immediately did exactly that. Yes, he showed a few clips from this interview, but not that one. Easiest way to dismantle Ben Shapiro is by bringing up Epstein or JFK. quote, I'm not really that interested. Exactly. Yeah, I mean, Ben Shapiro went ahead and did exactly what Bill Burr described. He went and he jumped on it to create some content. But the function of people like Ben Shapiro's kind of gotten on the wrong side of a lot of his own natural audience because he's such a fanatical Zionist that he has to like defend the JFK Warren Commission report and that kind of thing. But he's a very transparent version of the breed. Katie Halper is exactly right to bring up Chris Rufo. The whole job of these people is to get working people to feel like they won something when they did not win anything that's going to put a nickel in their pocket, and to tell them, you know, all those people who look down on you and your culture and your neighbor and your town. Yeah, those people, those are the ones who think you should have a union. That's their job, right? So Bill Burr, he didn't become a MAGA guy. He attacks both sides. That's not acceptable. That's not acceptable. They wanted him to be this anti-woke warrior for them. He didn't bite. So now he's a lib. Now he's a woke lib.
Yeah, and you could see the way Shapiro describes, the comedy set as talking about income inequality and how, the United States is such this horrible place, right? They want to, and this is where a lot of the manosphere stuff comes in. Not that Ben Shapiro is part of that. I wouldn't insult the manosphere in that way, but it's the same DNA, which is that you're weak if you notice injustice and
Right.
if you call out injustice.
You're jealous.
Because the masculine way to handle injustice is simply to bootstrap it and overcome it. And if you try to communicate these injustices with other people and organize to change them, well, then you're woke, you're weak, you're a girly man. I mean, that is basically the subtext of it, is that anybody who complains about anything is just a whiny little bitch who should work harder. And by work harder, I guess they mean start a podcast and, get followers. Like these people work hard. Like these people would last a day in, on the sales floor of a Costco, right? I mean, these people have no clue what it is to actually work. These are, in Shapiro's case, I mean, he is literally a failed Hollywood screenwriter who was bitter about the fact that he never broke through and found that he could make a living in this alternative media space by claiming that the reason he never sold any screenplays for $500,000 is because he's a conservative and there's anti-conservative bias in Hollywood.
Right.
Meanwhile, the guy is the least interesting, least funny, least compelling person you could ever listen to, and I would bet everything I own that comes through in his writing, whatever his brilliant scripts were.
Oh yeah, I can't even imagine.
Yeah,
I cannot even imagine. You know what? We're willing to pay hard money for a Ben Shapiro screenplay.
For a screenplay, just to read what it is. Yeah.
that could make quite the patron show.
Yes.
Yeah, man. It's because he's not very talented. He's particularly transparent in his intentions. It's just very, very obvious what he's doing. But you watch Ben Shapiro and you watch a lot of the manosphere. Yeah, he's manosphere adjacent, but it's kind of in that same tone. It's kind of manosphere wannabe.
Right.
This can't last. This can't last for the same reason that Trump firing people whose numbers he doesn't like is not going to last, because people know the experience they're having. Right. There's only so long they can go before people notice, you know what? Getting the queers out the bathroom didn't make my life any better. God damn it.
Yeah.
They told me it was going to make my life better. I'm just as poor as I was. And you know what? I never actually saw none of those queers in the bathroom.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
Sooner or later, people are going to realize their conditions are not improving. And then a lot of these people who were at the forefront of this are going to be the object of these people's hatred.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Come to think of it, I'd like to get sexually assaulted in a bathroom from time to time. Wouldn't be the worst thing in the world.
I used to happen at least once a week. I ain't had my asshole jiggered in a dog's age now.
Please clap.